we move on to another item that emerged yesterday as it relates to the future of the local quarterback, or at least one of them here in Indianapolis. We don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones and the Colts. I fully expect him to be back. Anthony Richardson has received permission to seek a trade.
Yes.
And not long after that surfaced, Cameron Wolf of NFL Network reported that the Colts and the Vikings have mutual interest. $5.3 million is what Anthony Richardson is owed this year. And Richardson and J.J. McCarthy would have a true competition. And I don't know who would win. I really don't. It's not Aaron Rodgers and J.J. McCarthy, where we know Rodgers isn't going there unless he's the guy. This is a true, genuine, if it happens, McCarthy, a top 10 pick from 2024. Richardson, a top 5 pick from 2023. Richardson already sent to the bench, coincidentally, by Daniel Jones, the guy that didn't want to stay in Minnesota because he didn't think he'd be able to beat out J.J. McCarthy because he thought Kevin O'Connell would work his magic on J.J. McCarthy, and Jones is going to be number 2.
Yeah, first round, top 10 or top 11 pick.
But Jones knew if he came to Indy, he'd have a fair shot to win the job, and he did.
Yes.
So now Richardson's out, and it's possible at this point that the Vikings address their quarterback situation by adding Anthony Richardson in a trade with the Colts, and it'll be Richardson and McCarthy, and may the better quarterback win the starting job.
Okay, so there's some interesting things here. Anthony Richardson, we know, has all the talent in the world. That's well known. I mean, we've seen him. He can make some of the damnedest throws, the damnedest runs. He's big, so he's got all that. But we also know he's still raw. We're still talking about some of the same things we talked about when he came out of Florida. Hasn't played enough, hasn't got enough reps. None of that has been there. So that's an issue, definitely. Hasn't been able to stay on the field and stay healthy. So he hasn't been able to really work on his craft to the extent that we would all like, especially people in football, the quarterbacks, all of that. So he's got all this star potential and ability, but at the same time, okay, so here's my scenario with Anthony Richardson. I don't know if Minnesota would be the right situation. I really don't. I look at it, and first off, and I don't know if Anthony Richardson's right for Minnesota. Minnesota's good. We've talked about this. Minnesota's in a window right now. They can improve their football team. So you're going to go with 2 inexperienced guys here at quarterback and let them deal with it? Hey, which guy? Hey, battle of the inexperienced quarterbacks. Let's see who's just a little less inexperienced, and you'll be the starter. That doesn't make sense to me. To me, for Anthony Richardson, the perfect situation would be somewhere where there's a clear starter, somewhere where there's a veteran backup who doesn't need reps. All right, let's just say I had an example yesterday, but let's just say you had like a Josh Allen and a Case Keenum somewhere. Okay, right. I'm just using this as an example.
So Richardson's number 2 and gets a bunch of reps.
So Richardson, exactly right. You can go, hey, Case Keenum doesn't need to play in the preseason. Richardson, you play the whole preseason. Do that. And within that, let's just say Josh Allen sprains an ankle in week 3. Maybe you don't think Anthony Richardson's the guy to just come off the bench and be the backup, because I would worry about that a little too. He hasn't had a lot of experience. He's not been able to show the ability to do that. Maybe in that case you bring Case Keenum in. But then you get done with the game and you go, hey, now we got a week to really prepare. We're going to make Anthony Richardson the guy. Or something of that nature. Do you know what I'm saying there? Does that make sense?
No,
I just
you're
know
absolutely
if
right.
I'm Minnesota, your team there, I wouldn't be comfortable with, oh, wait, it's J.J. McCarthy who gets hurt and is inexperienced. Oh, he's out today. We're going to play, Anthony Richardson, who gets hurt and is inexperienced. That doesn't make sense. There's got to be somebody else there in the middle to buffer it a little bit. That's all I'm saying there. And I think that would help Anthony Richardson. Reps are still the question with him as we sit here right now.
Here's the wild card as it relates to the Vikings and Anthony Richardson. And I thought of this yesterday. I remembered it vividly. I filed it away the moment it happened. Week 9 of the 2024 season.
Yes.
Richardson's second year, he'd already been benched for Joe Flacco. We don't know what the Vikings thought of Anthony Richardson entering the draft. We don't know what Kevin O'Connell concluded after doing the workup. The Vikings were drafting in the 20s in 2023 because they had made it to the playoffs and lost to the G-Man. So they drafted Jordan Addison that year. They weren't in position to take Richardson. Richardson was long gone. Here is the interaction that happened. It was after a Sunday night game, Vikings-Colts. Week 9, 2024. Richardson didn't play. Kevin O'Connell seeks him out. Have a listen to the conversation between Kevin O'Connell and Anthony Richardson.
Hey, do me a favor and remember something.
Okay.
You're a bad dude.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to play a long time in this league.
For sure.
All right? Go to work every day. Good things will happen for you. I still believe in you. I know these guys too. Shane does too.
Yes, sir.
And this organization loves you. Go to
Yes,
work.
sir. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, always, sir. All love,
Appreciate it.
I remember when that happened, and I remember thinking,
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell must really like Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And now that's why I had no surprise whatsoever when this came up yesterday.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any clips like that. And who knows? Maybe it happens after every game. Maybe he seeks out the backup quarterback after every game, just in case.
Just
like, let's have a little conversation here.
I love you. Remember that?
Yeah. But that seemed, and we know that O'Connell's not a guy who's going to sprinkle BS on people.
Definitely not.
That's a genuine, real, authentic moment,
Right.
and it gives you an idea of what O'Connell thinks of Anthony Richardson's talents.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. He obviously liked him coming out. And, that's the other thing is Anthony Richardson, a lot of people liked him. A lot of people like the person. That's what was so rare about, wait, he's played 11 games and the league is going to jump on here with Anthony Richardson? But the person impressed people so much that they thought, okay, even though he's experienced, we think he can get over the hump here and find his way in the NFL, even with only playing 11 games as a college quarterback. Obviously, that hasn't happened there. But I could certainly see a guy like Kevin O'Connell looking at Anthony Richardson going, wait, in my offense, we like to drop back and throw the ball down the field for 30 and 40 and 25-yard gains, and he can do that all day. But at this point where we are right now, we're going into year 4, and we're still saying the same things about Anthony Richardson as we were saying in year 1. I would just be careful about, like I'm saying, having him as my true backup.
We are in an age of Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, guys that, for whatever reason, it didn't work out on the first stop. And Anthony Richardson got thrust into the fray before he was ready.
Yep.
He was a project. And one of the things we've learned in recent years, the more starts you have in college, the easier the transition's going to be at the NFL level. So, boom. Top 5 pick, ton of pressure, get him on the field. Let's see what this guy can do. And it just didn't work. So by his second year, he gets benched. Last year, he played in 2 games. Then he had that freak accident before the Week 6 game here in Indy against the Cardinals where the exercise band broke and a piece hit him in the eye and fractured his orbital bone.
Yeah.
So that was that. So he's still young. And as Kevin O'Connell said, you're going to play a long time in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that O'Connell can resort back to whatever impressions he had 3 years ago. And he must be thinking, I can coach this guy into a franchise quarterback. He's got the tools. It's the old Bill Walsh thing. Peter King used to say this all the time. If a guy can do something once, I can coach him to do it all the time.
Yes. It's a great investment if you can pull it off. Because you can do it, and that's where I kind of envision it. You bring him in to be your de facto 2 or 3, right? You got a veteran guy that doesn't need reps there. You give him a year. You get him that first year. You let him play all the preseason, right? Let's just, again, he's behind a superstar somewhere, a veteran, and then there's him. The veteran, the superstar doesn't play. The veteran doesn't need to play in the preseason. He gets to play all those reps. Okay, maybe he does well enough to where you actually feel comfortable about actually making him number 2. Or maybe you just make him number 2 on the chart regardless just to make him happy and the veteran's number 3. But then the year goes, you get to evaluate it. You go, okay, now we're comfortable with him. He's definitely our number 2 next year. He's definitely our number 2 there. And then you grow it from there, and hopefully you get to keep him around, and maybe he gets a chance to play to then one day show, hey, I can play, and then you could go, wait, maybe he is our starter, or maybe he's a great trade asset, to offload to some other football team. I mean, I certainly could see that scenario.
We got to factor in the contract reality here. $5.3 million as a quarterback goes is not a significant investment.
Right.
So they're in year 3 of the J.J. McCarthy contract. They'll be in year 4 of the Anthony Richardson contract. There's a 5th-year option of $23.5 million that they would not pick up on the way through the door.
No.
That's a no-brainer at this point. But if we're talking about true competition, and if Kevin O'Connell looks at Anthony Richardson as a guy who's got a high ceiling,
yes,
if we can get him there.
Yes.
J.J. McCarthy is a guy who's got a high ceiling if we can get him there.
Yes.
What's wrong with 2 guys with red-hot pokers?
Yeah.
And let's let's see who thrives in this realm of true competition. We really don't know who the starter is going to be. We're going to have an open competition for the starting job. One of these guys is going to earn it. One of these guys is going to step up or step off.
Yeah.
And
I'm cool with that.
This may be the only way that they can not lose McCarthy. Like, if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you lose McCarthy. Because I know last year, and I think this is one of the reasons why Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the former GM, made the decision and recommendation that he made, and why ownership ultimately listened to him instead of O'Connell. I think there was a concern that if you don't start McCarthy Week 1, 2025, you're going to lose him mentally.
Yeah, you can
and he's
lose
going to
him
want
mentally.
out. He's going to want. Now, let's see how he reacts to someone who isn't a proven veteran, no-brainer. This guy's here because he's going to be the starter. That would potentially cause you to lose J.J. McCarthy, who could boomerang back and say, I want out. How will McCarthy react to this? And if he reacts to Anthony Richardson by saying, I want out, well, why?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
We
haven't acquired the clear number one quarterback. We're creating a scenario where both of you can compete. And, hey, based on their playing styles, both of them are going to play.
Well,
whoever starts is going to get injured at some point, history tells us. And the other guy's going to have to play.
So I agree with everything you're saying. Okay, I get it there. But at the same time here, what I would tell you is I don't know if that's the right guy that's going to push J.J. McCarthy all the time in practice. That to me is what it's going to be. I look at it as I would want a Mac Jones type-ish guy to be there. Because he's going to be on his P's and Q's and dot his I's and cross his T's every day. And, like, J.J. McCarthy's going to come in and be like, oh, my gosh, okay, hold on. And he's going to make the right read and the right throw in practice every day. And he's going to keep the pressure on you. Anthony Richardson, by all due accounts, again, we've heard it from everybody. First off, had his little immature moment 2 years ago. And basically everybody in the organization says he's got to pick up his work ethic behind the scene. And I'm sure he took that message. I get that. But also we know on the field, it's still raw. And that's why they went with Daniel Jones. I mean, we saw in the preseason last year. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens blitz, he has no idea who's coming off the edge. He gets just blindsided, right, in the preseason game. He misses throws that you can't miss that throw. So what I guess I'm saying is I don't know if he'll be able to put the pressure on J.J. McCarthy on a daily basis in practice the way you want it to be. I would like him to be there for all the things you said, but again, that's just where I guess I get back to I would want a little bit more of a trustworthy veteran who's a machine.
I hear you.
And that might scare J.J. McCarthy more than Anthony Richardson, who one day throws a bomb and you go, oh my gosh, that's the greatest throw I've ever seen. But the next day he misses 7 4-yard shallow crosses and you go, well, yeah, have fun. You want to play him or are you going to play me? Because I can hit the 7 shallow crosses all day long.
Well, maybe a freak in a good way will scare J.J. McCarthy into being what he needs to be. And look at it this way. Maybe your guy Kyle wants too much for Mac Jones. You know, this is part of what's going on this week.
No doubt about it. No doubt
Teams
about it.
Teams are going to find out what the trade value is. Maybe the Giants want too much for Jameis Winston.
But in theory, like a guy like that, a theory.
And here's the other thing, too. I think, and we know Chris Ballard, and I think we'll be talking to him at the league meetings coming up in about 4 weeks. But Chris Ballard cares about his guys. He wants what's best for his guys. And I think he feels an obligation to do right by Anthony Richardson if and when they do trade him and put him in a place where he can thrive. And it's not going to be Ballard's ego saying, I don't want him to turn into a great quarterback. It's going to make me look bad if he becomes a great quarterback somewhere else. I think Ballard's mindset is, we failed this guy, and he's got some responsibility for it too, but it just didn't work. I want him to thrive.
Yeah, they like this guy.
I want him to become everything he can be, and I know that Kevin O'Connell is going to bring that out of him versus wherever else he would land.
Right.
So I just get the impression when you watch that clip, and I remember seeing it at the time, and I remember thinking, I don't know how the dominoes are going to fall, but it sure seems to me like Kevin O'Connell has this guy on his short list of guys that he thinks he could turn into something special. And I don't know what interaction they had pre-draft. You know, teams keep a lot of that close to the vest. And again, the Vikings weren't in a position to try to do anything by way of get Anthony Richardson. But it's clear that O'Connell thinks a lot of him. And hell, they didn't even have. It's not like he was grinding Anthony Richardson tape that week. Joe Flacco played that game.
Yes.
So this is something he already believed.
Right. And that's where the whole Anthony Richardson story, like we talked about, full circle, is that's where that was crazy at the time. But it was crazy in that he played 11 games. He had all this talent. You were, wow, I told you, I go, man, this guy could be a superstar. But the inexperience and all that. But also people thought, hey, he's smart. He's got good work ethic. We're going to do all that stuff. So they saw a way or a path to overcome that inexperience. But as I said, again, here we are. We're still kind of having that same combo.
I want Anthony Richardson to reach his full potential for the same reason I want all players who have the God-given abilities to reach their full potential. But if Anthony Richardson would indeed become a superstar, there would be a collateral benefit. We would probably hear from his younger brother, who's got that awesome deep voice that's even deeper than Anthony Richardson's.
I'm 12 years old. And I'm Anthony Richardson's brother. It's the greatest. It's one of the greatest clips. It's one of the almost
Sims
shocking moments of like draft history where I was like, "Is this real? Is this really his voice? This guy, this little guy, this kid?" Like, and I know he's grown up now, and no disrespect there, but that was an incredible moment.
That was Chris impersonating Phil Simms, impersonating Anthony Richardson's then 12-year-old brother, whose voice was somehow deeper than Anthony Richardson's. I remember watching that the night of the draft because it's his skinny little kid in a suit, and they give him the microphone, and it's Barry White. It was like, incredible.
Holy crap, are you 28 years old?
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.